Boom! Hey, Rockstars. Listen, I'm super excited. Again, I'm excited every time I do these no bullshit podcasts for contractors. Why? Because it gives me a great opportunity to help out great people become even better, okay? So, if that's you, what we're going to be talking about is a topic that is near and dear to everyone, every contractor's heart out there. You ready for it? Drum roll. Hiring. Yes. Hiring is one of the greatest challenges that contractors face today, like trying to find skilled staffing, trying to, build an A team. Now, we're going to take a different approach a little bit today, and we are going to give you guys, specific tactics on how you can find, attract, and hire and build an A team. But we're going to talk about mindset, okay? One of the most important things for you to have is what's going on in between these two ears is your mindset around hiring people. We've got to get our mind in the right place. And I have a special guest. He's our mindset coach. He works with our champion CEOs around, dealing with, challenges. And one of the challenges is our mindset around certain topics. And one of the hottest topics is the mindset around hiring people. So I'm going to be on the tactic side. I'm going to be on the strategy side. Matt is going to be on the mindset side. We're going to put the two together, and it's going to be like a freaking perfect recipe, not for disaster, but a perfect recipe for you guys to take your hiring process and your systems to the next level. I want you guys to be able to walk away with a lot more confidence in how you can find, how you can attract, how you can land, and how you can keep top performing A players and build this A team that you need and are meant to be building inside your contracting company. Be ready to learn, and I am going to bring my A game, you bring yours, and together Matt's going to bring his. We're going to crush it out. See you on the flip.
Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class. They call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life.
Matt, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So everybody listening in, welcome to another No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. We've got a special guest. I'm going to get Matt to introduce himself, but before we go much further, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time or Matt's time. Let's just make sure that this is a topic that is of relevance to you, and you should either A, be staying on this call. We're going to be here for, the next 20 minutes or so, or if you should be utilizing the next 20 minutes or so elsewhere. So the topic near and dear to my heart is really twofold. It's about hiring. We're going to talk about hiring. We're going to talk about tactics, about how to find, how to attract, how to retain, how to build an A team. But we're going to talk also, which is a huge part of if you want to be successful in building an A team, is the mindset associated with hiring. And I got my man here, Matt, a mindset mastery coach, who is part of our champion CEO team that supports our champion CEO clients and helps them with their mindset and what have you. So Matt, welcome, dude.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and a little bit about why you're on this call,
Yeah, so we're, when you talk about hiring or anything else, there's always the tactical stuff, and then there's the, from my point of view, the mindset stuff. So it's if you're an athlete, you can work out your body, you can work out your sport, the plays, if you're a quarterback, you can, come up with the plays and work on the plays. And then the third thing that people are now investing in the last couple of years has become a huge topic is mindset. And that's actually training your mind as you would train your body in the gym. It's engaging with how you think about things, paradigm shifts, anything to do with how you show up for your day-to-day work life, personal life, and identifying blocks, identifying things where you need to, step it up and train that part out of you. Some old habits, whatever it is. It's quite broad, but there's a lot of just anything to do with your mindset, anything to do with your mind and how your mind is in the game on game day, that kind of thing. So that's what I help the PFC guys do.
You do, and you do an amazing job with it. And, giving the segue into this is, you had asked me, Andrew, what's your definition of mindset, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give everybody my thought on it. I have worked and still work very, very hard on my mindset. I think mindset is really, again, this is just my perspective. Matt, you're going to have, I'm sure, a much better perspective of it. It's how you think. Yeah. So it's that could be your perception, right? Your perception of how you perceive and how you process information. That also represents how you see yourself. Your mindset of your own identity, your mindset of your values, your mindset of, and if you look at this almost like an iceberg, I remember seeing this thing called the identity iceberg. I really like this and it's related to mindset. If you look at this as the top of my fingers is the water, right? Below it is this iceberg. So you just see this little tiny piece of ice. Meanwhile, down below, as everybody knows, there's this massive iceberg. Well, down below at the bottom here where my thumbs are, if you guys are watching, and if you're driving in your truck, you're going to a job site, it's totally cool. I'll try and visualize this. The bottom of that is your identity, okay? And that identity is formed through, years of experiences as a child, a teenager, and just your time here on earth. And from that, you get your values and you get your beliefs. Now, some of those beliefs are, supportive beliefs. Some of those beliefs are limiting beliefs. And that's all going on inside your mind. So that's a pretty long description of mindset, but it's that deep. It's like, it literally is that deep. And all that everybody else sees above that, above the water line is your actions, right? Is how you behave. That's what they see. But really down below that is the mind and how it's processing things. Am I confusing it, Matt?
No, correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When we look at the mindset of, and if anybody can relate to that, just you can type in, I get it, I relate. And if you don't, man, it's totally cool. If you say that, doesn't make sense, Andrew, that's totally cool as well. So when we look at this topic, there's a couple of things that Matt, you actually, laid some of these things out. And, one of the things that you laid out is, when we look at mindset is how do we view our perception of who's actually out there? Like, is there actually people out there that exist for us to hire, to us to go out and find? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is the mindset part of it is examining the stories you tell yourself, or the stories we tell ourselves that limit us. That's the main thing. It's like if I'm a coach, so I do one-on-one coaching as well. I have to make sure my mindset is open enough to see that there are hundreds of people that I could work with on a monthly basis if I really put the time in just to get to get in front of them, to have them know who I am, etc. And the limiting mindset that I sometimes have when I'm not feeling my best or whatever is that there's no one to work with. I have the people I have, and maybe they're going to leave me, and but I hope they don't. I'm hanging on to them, and there's never going to be more. There's no one out there to work with. No one wants to pay for it. There's a million stories.
Yeah.
And how I relate this to hiring for you guys is like examining the story that you're telling about wherever you're at. Whether that's there's no one out there, there's no one good out there. I've exhausted all the resources, and just be curious about whether or not that's a story. Whether or not that's true. Do you know that 100%? Have you tried everything? So the mindset is the story as well.
Interesting. So, if we keep telling ourselves, and I call this you've heard me talk about this, right? There's the victor mindset and there's the victim mindset. Mm-hmm. Honestly, everybody listening in, it literally is, and I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm honestly not going to bullshit you. There's times when it's easy to change your story, and there's times where it's difficult to change your story. That's going to be dependent upon, correct me if I'm right or wrong, Matt, that's going to be dependent upon that iceberg, right? It's going to be dependent upon your experiences. Like, let's face it, if you're a contractor listening in, and you're like, I put an ad out there, I've been in business for 15 years, I've hired in 15 years, 30, 40 tradies, and I've had, bad experience with 80% of them. Or if you're that same person I just described in business for a while, and you're putting ads out there and nobody's knocking on the door, nobody's, the phone's not ringing. Like, I can see why you'd have a victim mindset. Like, and I'm somewhat giving you guys, I think Matt and I are giving you guys the, what do you call it? The permission to look at that story and go, yeah, man, like I could see why I'm telling myself that. Mm-hmm. But how do they, what would be some of the, how do they stop that story, Matt?
I think the first part is is being open to the possibility that it is a story. I think that's the main thing. It's slowing down and just, examining whether or not you know for sure. Do you know for sure? 100%. Be honest with yourself. It's about honesty. It's about openness to, have I tried everything? Is it really true? And also, and then at that point, trying more things and seeing what you can do if you really, really put 100% into it. Because we all know that, there's only limited time in the day. So you can't put 100% into everything all the time. So maybe this is one you're not putting 100% in it. So if you did, what would that look like? What would it look like if you really did try and kill hiring, in the next little while?
Master it, right?
Yeah. If you really threw your weight behind that one topic.
Here's the thing. So Matt, this is, as I say, it's a no bullshit podcast, right? Some of you might be listening in and going, that's bullshit. Matt, that's bullshit. Okay, man, I've put tons of time into it. It's not working. Okay, well, guess what? Everybody listening in, let's help them with that. What do you think, Matt? Should we be good?
Yeah, and I know what you're about to get to here, and this is we can categorize this as new information, because I think you're about to bring in something that's new information. And this is the thing I'm saying: be open to new information. You may have a story that says this thing, and then when you say what you're about to say, see how this hits you, and the new information coming in, what that does to your mindset. So
love it. So before we go any further, I want to, I'm supposed to be this, have this experience and be this master coach and all the rest of that. Personally, I think it's a little bit of bullshit because I don't look at myself. This is the story that I tell myself. I don't believe that I've mastered anything. My kids tell me I'm a good father, great father. I get lots of compliments from people, but that doesn't, personally, the minute that I go, I am, I'm telling you that you're a master. It's okay. I'm okay with other people saying, hey, Andrew, you're a master or whatever. But in my head, the story I tell myself is I'm not a master at anything, because I always believe in always growing. And so I'm going to get to the point. So here's the new question. The question is not so much, what is the story I'm telling myself? Or, what's my story? If you don't like your story, if you don't like the results you're getting, ask yourself this question. And then I'm going to wave a little bit of magic. Okay, everybody listening in, I'm going to give you an actual tactic. So if you're like, get to the point, I'm going to get the fucking point in a second. Does somebody else have a different story? Try that question. Does somebody else have a different story? a story that I would like to have. Do they actually have a story that says, hey, they're able to find people. Hey, they're looking at it differently. Well, let's see if I can change your story. So if your story is there's not enough people out there, let's just go with, we don't have time to cover off all the different phases of hiring, which, by the way, write this down, everybody. There's some phases. You need to know them. It's not just hiring. This is a bit of a paradigm shift. People are like, I can't, my hiring it's crappy. What the fuck does that mean? Here we go. Is it finding them that's crappy? Is it attracting them? Because just because you find them doesn't mean you attract them. We're all going to go fishing today, right, everybody? Just because you found out, hey, there's a pond here, a lake that's got tons of fish in it, doesn't mean jack shit to you fucking catching any. Because if you don't got the right lures, you're not going to get anything. Meanwhile, the fucking place is loaded with fish. So finding, attracting, landing. What do you mean? Well, you can get a ton of bites on your fucking lure. That does not define that you're going to get them in the boat. If you're using a 1 pound test and you got a 5 pound fish, the odds are every time you reel it in, you're going to break the line. Okay? Everybody's like, well, this is sort of making sense from a fishing perspective. It's the same with hiring. So here we go. Right? Find, attract, land. Oh, what's the fourth one? Well, just because you land them doesn't mean you keep them. And keeping them is probably one of the most important things to focus in on. Because you will never build upon an A team if you can't keep them. So those are the 4 things, so think about them. The one I'm going to talk about right now is finding them. So one of the biggest ones I hear is, I can't find them, Andrew. I can't find these people. They don't exist. Bullshit. So I looked up the Yellow Pages. You guys can do this with Google, but I'm going to use the Yellow Pages. Like, what? Yellow Pages? They're outdated. No, certain things can be used for certain things. You look up the Yellow Pages. If you're sitting in front of your computer right now and you type in Yellow Pages. Now I'm going to look up the one yellowpages.ca, Canada, you can go .com. You can find whatever the Yellow Page version is in your area, okay? So I'm just going to use the city of Toronto. And funny enough, when I open up Yellow Pages, the first thing they have as an example is they say, what? There's 2 little boxes. The first box says what? And it says example, plumber. Go figure, eh? The second box says where? And they say example, Toronto. So I just went with what was in the boxes, right, Matt? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting enough, I typed that in. 1,469 plumbing contractors in the city of Toronto. The average, just to let everybody know, the average number of skilled tradespeople that work for a contractor is 8. Interesting. So what are we looking at here? Roughly 10,000. Okay, I'm going to sandbag it. Say half of that. Say it's 4 employees, which is bullshit. So we're talking 5,000 tradespeople sitting out there. Now, everybody listening, I'm sure you guys all have challenges regarding running your business. I'm sure there's a form of chaos that's in your business right now. You don't know how to schedule the guys. You got too much work. You don't have enough work. You're having to manage. You're wearing 5 different hats, 10 different hats as the owner. It's impossible for you not to be in chaos unless you have control of your business. So I'm going to tell you right now, 80% of contractors out there are in a form of chaos. And if they're in a form of chaos, A players, being the guys that are really good, talented, skilled tradespeople, they do not like working in fucking chaos. That's why I quit. All the jobs that I quit were because the business owner did not know how to run the fucking business. That's why. Because the material was late, the fucking customer expectations were wrong, they fucking show up on job sites, not even know what the heck is going on, period, right? Everybody yelling at you, screaming at you. So guess what, everybody, and then I'm going to shut up. I just typed in, this is factual. This is not, like, Yellow Pages didn't come up with 1,469 because they just wanted to type in company names. My point, everybody, is there is a shitload of skilled tradespeople, A players, that are working for other contractors right now. Hence why I wrote a book on this that's about to be launched. Okay, and if you want the book, just type in book. Okay, guys, reach out to us. You know, you're in this contract, you're in this group, and if you're not part of the Profitable Association for Contractors, sign up to that. But guys, there are so many skilled tradespeople all around you in your backyard, okay, that want to work for a great contracting company with a great environment. Now, hopefully that gave you a bit of a paradigm shift, okay? Most of you guys are not looking for 5,000 tradespeople. Most of you guys are looking for 5, skilled, 2 skilled, 10 skilled. There are tons of them looking for skilled tradespeople, and there's a ton of skilled tradespeople that are A players looking for an A grade contracting company. The question is what, Matt? Is that them?
What's that?
What was the question you're going to say?
No, just the thing I was going to say was that when you said that originally, what my feeling in my body was, oh, whoa. Like it really was like, I'm looking out my window, I see Toronto there, but I feel like I have this scarcity story, like, oh yeah, there's probably, maybe there's some people out there, but there's not that many. But then when you said that number, I was like, oh, that feels like really possible. Like, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with the mindset. And it's like, when you have that new info come in, you really are like, oh, I didn't know. I had no idea. I was ignorant about the details.
Right.
So the more info you have, it can really shift your mindset because you've brought in some new info. You're like, oh, okay, I had no idea. And then that opens things up for you to take action because then you're motivated. You're like, okay, it's now, if you want to go with the fishing analogy, it does give you new info in this way, gives you that feeling of like a nibble on the line because fishing, if you don't get a couple bites, you want to just kill yourself. It's the worst thing in the world, unless you're in a beautiful
Well, you know what? I gotta change that analogy just a little bit. Imagine it just a little bit changed. Imagine if you're in the boat and underneath you got a fish finder.
True, yeah.
Under the boat, you go, holy fuck. Mm-hmm. There's 5,000 or 10,000 fish underneath me. Right underneath me. Underneath my freaking nose. Now, if you didn't get any bites for the last 5 years, do you pack up your shit, get in the boat, go home, and be a victim? Or what would most people do? Your mind would shift and go, I'm using the wrong lures. The fish are right here. There's got to be some fish here that are hungry. There's fucking 10,000 of them. And Matt's bang on. When you change your story, Matt, why do your actions change when your story changes?
It's an emotional experience. You don't feel hopeless, or you either feel possibility or you feel hopeless. It's kind of like one or the other. So, there's been a number of experiences in my life recently in the last year, little things that I thought were so impossible. Selling this one Sprinter van I was like, oh, I've half built it into a camper. It's going to be impossible to sell. No one wants this thing. That was my story. And I probably could have gone on with that story for a year or two, just being like, oh, I'll never be able to sell it. And I called Mercedes and was like, hey, what do you guys think? I made this thing look beautiful on the inside, but it's a random kind of half camper. And they were like, bring it over. They were like, it's beautiful. There's no Sprinters for sale now, so let's buy it. And I sold it in like 2 seconds. So
oh my God. And how long did you dwell on that though?
Oh, months. I literally had paralysis. I was like, I'm never going to get rid of this thing. It's such a weird situation that I'm in. It's not a construction truck. It's not a camper. It's somewhere in between. Who's going to want it? All this nonsense I was telling myself. I literally just got on the phone, tried something new, took the risk, drove there, spoke to a guy, and did the effort, which I didn't want to do. It was uncomfortable, and I remember walking out of the parking lot, being like, "Okay, so that just happened. That was so easy. Like, what the hell?" It just was like, "All right, I'm so wrong about so mmany things all the time."
And by the way, that Mercedes dealership, it was Mercedes that you went to, right? Right.
Yeah, it was the Sprinter.
Right. So isn't it interesting that like they just popped up, right? Like the day that you were ready. Yeah. No, I'm just saying like they've been there the whole freaking time, right?
Yeah. Yes, I drive by it on the highway all the time. Yeah.
Right. These people that I just highlighted to you guys on the Yellow Pages, how long have they been there? How long have there been an A player or a bunch of A players that are in there that are fucking pissed off, not happy? They're like, man, if somebody would just share with me that they've got a great environment, I'd be gone in 2 seconds. So everybody think about this. Now, Matt, you asked a great question prior to this. and I know we're going to wrap things up here in 5 minutes, but you asked a great question. You said, like, is your team really a team? So, we're talking about hiring. So if you're talking about hiring, if hiring is of a topic to you, then you need to, hopefully you're thinking of the mindset of building a team. And Matt said to me, he says, I wonder if these guys really, do they really have a team? What do you mean by that?
Well, the thing is, we were talking about, you call it a team. This is our work team, but like, are you actually doing stuff to make the work environment better? Are you listening to the guys? Are you, you have to be the boss, yes, but this is people's lives. So are you making an environment that's attractive for people to work in, and that you actually feel like you are, connected to these people in a real way? And why I say that is that, I have a friend recently who is an electrician. He has about 5 or 6 guys on his team. And he said that the guys, people try and poach them all the time. They say, fuck off, because they love working for him. He's such a chill guy. They have such a good relationship working wise, and they don't leave. And I don't think he's worried about them leaving, and he doesn't rest on his laurels, but he's consciously, it's just kind of who he is. But at the same time, he's making sure that his team is actually a team, and they do things. And another electrician that I know is bringing me on to do team building stuff with them. It's, a small team as well. And we're going to do some stuff where we get together, and, these are investments in your team, and to actually create, because a lot of people don't like their working life. So if you can offer them, if you can offer something more, which is a good place to come to work, and that requires work and effort and all that. Again, you're going to attract the right people. People are going to hear about how you're running things well, and the culture there, and culture is a real thing. So that's kind of what I'm saying, is like, do you have a plan for working on it, or are you just saying, hey, go do this work and don't mess up, kind of thing?
And you're bringing up something that it was hitting me. As you were asking that question, I was thinking about my company, right? I'm looking, right now, everybody, the technology I'm using, I'm able to see an image of me, and I'm able to see an image of Matt. And in all honesty, what was going through my mind was I was looking at myself like a mirror. And I was asking myself, this question, are we really building a team? Like a really team? By the way, a great acronym for team is together everybody achieves more, right? Mm-hmm. Together everybody achieves more. Is that really the environment that you've created? Or is it together everybody achieves less? Right?
Yeah.
And in my environment, for the most part, it's together everybody achieves more. And sometimes I'll give you an example of this. The actions of the CEO, the actions of the owner is a direct correlation to your culture. And your culture is a direct correlation to how the behavior of your team. So here's my little thing, and then we'll start wrapping this up, is sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. So one of the actions that I've had to take is our growth has been exponential for the last couple of years. And as a CEO, it's easy to say, let's keep growing, let's keep growing, let's keep growing. Sometimes you got to go, no, stop. We have to build the right structure, the right systems, so that we can have the right environment, because that's part of our culture. It's not to burn out our team. And there is signs of that, and we've had signs of that, and we still have some signs of that. But if you as the CEO don't recognize and look in the mirror, and really take an honest look at yourself to say, what are some of the symptoms, and am I really acknowledging these symptoms? People are burnt out, people are frustrated, nobody stays. What's the common denominator? It's you. You're the common denominator. So Matt, if there's some last words around mindset regarding this topic of building a team or anything from a mindset, I love your example of the story that you tell yourself. What would be some of the last words of wisdom that you would say?
Yeah, my main takeaway here is this idea of it starts with you, like you just mentioned. And the reason that I say that is because there's power in what you can work on. You can't necessarily control the people outside of your world. They're out there. it's empowering to work on the things you can. So if you're struggling with hiring or any of these things or with your team, ask yourself, how can I make things better for it is that whole thing of like, okay, I'm not attracting like the right romantic partner or this or that, like any of these things. It's like, okay, so what do I need to do for myself? How do I better myself so that eventually I'll attract the right person or attract the right job? It's kind of, basic personal growth stuff. It's empowering to know that you can at least work on you, your culture, your team, your business, and your practices, all these lures, all these things you're talking about. That there's power in that. You can't force someone to come work for you. You can't, you don't know their name yet, but control what you can, which is yourself, and working on your own internal world, your company, your culture, your work environment. And by doing that, it's just, we all know that when you do that kind of stuff, things show up, people show up. So
I love it. I love it. So you know what, everybody
can control.
It's true, right? Like how frustrating is it to try and control something you can't control, right? And at the same token, there's a lot of things. Just put a bit of a twist to this. There's a lot of things that you think you don't have control over. Like if you're telling yourself you can't find anybody and there's nobody out there, well then guess what? You're going to get the results that the story that how the story is written, right? And the reality is you can control a lot more of finding the right people, attracting them, landing them, keeping them, building an A team. You have got tremendous amount of ability if you allow other people to help you. Okay? So if you guys are interested in engaging with Matt, what's the best way, Matt? Do they just type in your name, Matt, or what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Send an email to you to the PFC guys, and get my contact from them. Just say I want to speak to Matt, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Just think about Matt and mindset, right? And if for those of you, we're about to launch this book. If you want to get on the VIP list of this book that addresses a ton of exponentially, I think it's 130 pages of gold of all the best strategies that I've learned, all the systems and process that we use here at Profit Contractors to help our champion CEOs, find, attract, keep, and land, an A player and A players. Then just type in book in the chat. And if there's any specific questions that you guys have, like we're watching, we're monitoring all the comments that get put out there. So, if you got questions, put your questions in there. Let us help you. That's why you're part of this group. But if you don't allow yourself, if you keep your story being, that I'm not going to help myself, then you're not going to help yourself. Help yourself by asking for help. Don't do this shit by yourself. Don't try and figure out what took somebody over a decade to figure out. Okay? Don't spend 10 years. Don't spend, Matt, you've been working on mindset, for how long? Like years, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys, exactly. Get the help that you need. And help is actually a part of building an A team is, bringing into your culture, and this is my last thing, bringing into your culture one of the greatest gifts that you can teach people of your team is that it's okay to ask for help. That's one of the most important cultural things and mindset, because your mindset, I know we're running out of time here, but your mindset will change in a good way or a bad way the mindset of your employees. Right, Matt?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It all starts with you.
It all starts with you. What a great way to wrap this baby up. So guys, this was another no bullshit podcast for contractors. Reach out for help. Focus, work harder on yourself, honestly, than you do your business. And I mean yourself being your mind. And you'd be amazed at what can happen and the shifts that can go on inside your business. So thank you so much, Matt. Thanks for helping all of our clients. Thanks for helping them with their paradigm shifts and getting them to be a victor versus a victim mindset. And we appreciate all the help that you give to our champion CEOs and that you give to me and everybody else. And keep up the great work. And everybody listening in, take some action, do something different, and you're going to get some different results. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.
Hey, Rockstar, I hope that you enjoyed that one. I mean, if you did like this podcast, leave a review, leave a comment. This will help us a lot to keep you bringing the gold, keep allowing you to delegate, dominate, and deliver so you can take your contracting business to the next level. Now, make sure you subscribe, get the latest teachings and insights, and we will see you back here for another No Bullshit podcast. No, seriously, no bullshit.